How is it going, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Redstone Fundamentals. This is Eno here. Today we are going to be talking about pressure plates, the glorious pressure plates, another one of those redstone items that can help send a signal off. We're going to talk about all the differences between the pressure plates, how they work, why we would use wood ones over stone ones, or gold over iron, or whatever. So yeah, we'll just get into that. Hopefully you guys can learn something in this episode. It may not be a very long one, but I think it is very important depending on what you want to be doing with your pressure plates, how you want them to behave. I hopefully will teach you something new today. If I did, please leave that in the comment below what you learned today. If I missed anything, please leave that in the comments below as well, because we all know Eno is not all-knowing, not even close. But anyways, let's just get right into it. All right, to craft the pressure plates, we have 5 different pressure plates that we can make. To craft our pressure plates, we either need for wood pressure plates, you can use any type of planks. So as you can see here, I have crimson and I have the warped planks. Either way, you just need 2 of them. And whatever type of wood you make, that's the type of wooden pressure plate you can have. And the only difference between the colors is the type of wood that you use. There's no other difference other than aesthetics. So for wood pressure plates, you need 2 planks. For stone pressure plates, you need 2 stone blocks. You can also make blackstone pressure plates. In order to make that, you need to have polished blackstone, 2 of those blocks. The stone pressure plate is an ingredient in one item, that being the detector rail. No other pressure plate is an ingredient in anything. Pressure plates can also generate in the world. They can be found in the bottom of desert temples, as they are part of the booby trap, where if you step on them, they blow up all the TNT that is below the chests. You can also find some wood pressure plates in some of the villages, naturally generated as well. Pressure plates can be placed only on the tops of blocks. They cannot be placed on the sides or the bottom, but they can be placed on the tops of the following blocks. They can be placed on the tops of hoppers, on fences, walls, upside down slabs or slabs on the top half, and upside down stairs. They can be placed on those. If the stairs are the right way up, then you cannot place a pressure plate on top of the stairs. They have to be upside down. And same with a slab. If the slab is placed on the bottom half of the block, then you cannot place a pressure plate on the bottom half of the slab. Pressure plates can be broken by either using no tool at all or by using tools. The wood pressure plate will break easiest with using an axe. The stone, blackstone, light-weighted, and heavy-weighted pressure plates all break easier with a pickaxe. Pressure plates can also be broken if they are moved by a piston. So in this case, if we were to attempt to move the pressure plate, then it just breaks the pressure plate and it drops itself. Same thing if you try to move the block that the pressure plate is sitting on. So in this case, you can see the same thing where the pressure plate is sitting on the box, on the block. So this is not necessarily pushing the pressure plate, but because it's moving the block it is sitting on, it will also break the pressure plate, which will just drop itself. The wood pressure plate, similar to the wood button, can be used as fuel, although there are the 2 exceptions. So you can use any type of wood except for the 2 wood that you get from the nether. These cannot be used as fuel, so the crimson or the warped can't be used, but spruce, oak, jungle, acacia, all the other types of wood can be used as fuel in a furnace. Pressure plates activate redstone on all sides, including the block below the block that the pressure plate is sitting on, but not on the block above it. So very similar to buttons and levers, where they will activate this in the same directions. So I'll just demonstrate that now. So it activates all the redstone all the way around, including the redstone below the block that the plate is sitting on, but it does not do the redstone above the pressure plate. All right, so now that we know how to make pressure plates, how to use pressure plates like as an ingredient, how to place pressure plates on blocks, how to break pressure plates, we need to talk about how they work and why we would use the different pressure plates. So first, I'm going to talk about the wood pressure plate. So the wood pressure plate is the most basic. Any type of either player, mob, or item that ends up on the pressure plate will send a full 15 redstone signal. So as you can see, I can stand on it and the lamp will light. I can also place an item on it and the lamp will light as well. So even with a single item, it can send off a 15 power redstone signal, which will light the lamp. So the wood pressure plate is really good for just easy detection. I often use them inside my house to open doors. They're just a very basic, very easy to use pressure plate. The difference then between the wood and the stone pressure plate is the stone pressure plate won't detect items, but they still detect players and mobs. So as you can see, this is not pressing this plate at all. So it does not detect items, but it will still detect players and mobs and sends off the same strength as the wood pressure plate. It will send off a signal strength of 15 if stepped on by a player or a mob. I normally use this in my house now. This one I don't, just in case items are dropped for some reason. Anytime an item is dropped, that will, especially if you're using this for a door, that will mean that your door will remain open as long as this item is in the game. As soon as that item despawns or is collected, then of course the pressure plate will return back to its default state. But that's why I just don't want to risk it. If a mob was to die right inside my house, or if I was to drop an item or anything like that, then that could potentially leave the door open and vulnerable. That's why using stone pressure plates does eliminate that risk. The polished blackstone pressure plate, I don't think there's really much difference between that and the stone pressure plate. Same with the stone. The black pressure plate does not detect items at all. I think this one really is just an aesthetic option compared to the regular stone pressure plate, because it still detects mobs, it still sends off the same amount of redstone signal, it also doesn't detect items. So I think that's really the only difference between the stone pressure plate and the polished blackstone pressure plate. If you guys know of any other difference between these two, please let me know down in the comments. I would love to know what difference is between these two pressure plates other than color. So this brings us to the light-weighted and heavy-weighted pressure plates. These ones are very different than the rest of them, and these aren't new to the game, but they're pretty new to me. I've never really used these ones. I only actually recently discovered them, but they are pretty amazing. So they work much different than the other three here. These ones work more like a scale in the sense that, like these ones, if you stand on it, it gives automatically a full 15 redstone signal, so that lamp is lit. These ones work more like a scale, so they actually measure the amount of items that are on the scale. So the light-weighted pressure plate, wow, now I want to say scale. If I place one item on, we will get one redstone signal. If I place another item on, we will get a redstone signal of 2. So now this one's on, and so on and so forth. The main difference between this one and the heavy-plated is the heavy-plated actually calculates in groups of 10 instead of the light-weighted pressure plate, which measures in groups of 1. And what I mean by that is if you place one item on here, you get one signal, redstone signal. But the same thing happens if, for example, let's just grab more wool. So the same thing happens, for example, if I also place 64 of the same item on the pressure plate, we still only get a redstone signal of 1. As soon as we add a second type of item, even if it's just a different color, we now get that second redstone signal. So now there is a power of 2. In this case, on the heavy weighted, if we were to place, so it can work with single or it can work in stacks, but there just has to be different items. Nothing happens until you get, let's just make sure that these all land on the pressure plate here. So I'm gonna throw these 9, actually I need to back up though. So we'll get these 9 onto the pressure plate, and as you can see, we have 9 different ones, but we still only have a redstone signal of 1. So if we go and we now add, that would be 10, 11, 12, 13. So now if we add number 10, we'll still get the same 1 redstone signal. However, if we go to add the 11th item on the heavy weighted pressure plate, we now get, you'll notice, a redstone signal of 2. So just one thing to note is that it's not the amount of items, as that's what I thought when I read it on the Minecraft wiki, was I thought it was the amount of items. So it says this one measures in groups of 10, this one measures individually, but it's different items, not individual items. So like I said, this one is only a power of 1 if I place 1 wool right? But it's also a power of 1 if I place, we'll use the red, if I place an entire stack of the same one type of wool, you still only get 1 redstone signal. So that's one thing to note, just in case you were thinking that maybe we'll use, you know, this one to measure how many mob drops we have or things like that. That's not how they work, because if we were to place if we were to place 1 mob drop and then we get another of the same mob drop, you're still only getting that that redstone signal of 1. So it only measures different items. So like I said, this one measures different items individually. So as soon as you get a second item on there, right, you get that redstone signal of 2. This one doesn't change unless there's 11 or more. So every time there's 10 items, that's 1 redstone signal. Then as soon as you get to the 11th, that's the redstone signal number 2. So you're going to need, in order for this one to give you a 15 redstone signal strength, you're going to need a lot of different items sitting on here, because I don't actually know if this can give you a complete redstone signal, just because of how many items are actually needed in order for this to get all the way up to 15. But that's the main difference between the light weighted and the heavy weighted. So that is I think these will be very useful when trying to give a signal depending on how many items have dropped. So this can be really good for things like a timer, if you wanted a certain type of timer where something is released at a certain interval, and as soon as it hits a certain number of items, then the redstone signal has hit a certain length, and it will activate something that could either turn on the whatever's dropping items on here or whatever it is that you want to activate. So that is one way to have a timer, more of a much slower or delayed timer depending on how many. You can do the same thing with mobs. So if we were to do something like this, where you close off this whole thing and then you have mobs dropping on here, you can actually have this activate something as soon as you get the right amount of mobs dropped onto the plate. Then you can have it activate and turn off something. So that is a very useful item. The heavy weighted, I think, personally, I think is a much less useful item, just because of how many different items you need in order for it to give an additional signal. So it's really hard to see what the use is for this. If any of you guys have used these before in any of your worlds, let me know down in the comments what you used them for, how you found that they worked, if you really liked them or not. And I'd be really interested to know if you guys have been using these already, because like I said, for me, these are brand new to me. I only recently discovered them. I was playing in creative and I noticed that they were sitting in there, and I was like, what the heck? Since when do we have golden iron pressure plates? But apparently they've been in for quite a while, since I think update 1.5. So way back. But yeah, if any of you have used these, let me know down in the comments what you use them for, how you found them, and if you still use them, or if you just prefer to use the basic 2 pressure plates here. That I think everyone uses these, but I've never really seen many people using these ones here. All right, everyone, that is it for the episode today. I hope you learned something about pressure plates today. I hope it was interesting. I hope you liked it. If you did, feel free to smash that like button and let me know. If you have any questions, or if you, like I said, if you have any ideas of things that I missed, or if you've used the weighted pressure plates, please let me know down in the comments. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel and hit that little bell icon so you can be notified when I post more videos just like this one. All right, everyone, I will see you in the next episode.